this is Erika of the Knit Kind podcast and Grapefruit and Gardenia Designs. Welcome. Everybody is welcome and wanted here, and we are a place to come together under the premise of kindness and a love of fiber arts. Just in case you're new and you hadn't heard that before, I kick off most podcasts, but not all, with some version of that headline. So I did not go to the New England Fiber Festival this weekend, or the Fiber Festival of New England. It was on the heels of having been at Vermont and Rhinebeck and all the Rhinebeck related events. And I still have a young child who only had 3 days of school last week, and Halloween and all kinds of things going on, plus the time change. So anyway, we did not get there. I didn't think I would, but I never completely rule it out. Sometimes a little day trip is not that hard to do for us if we're looking for something to do. But I am curious of all of you who went and what you got. Did you get any neat treasures? I'd love to hear it. Pop me a comment below if you want to share something that you found there, whether it was something that maybe I've mentioned on this podcast and the vendor was there, or if it was something new that you discovered. I'd love to hear about it. So this is really a shorter check-in this week, just to kind of catch up, see how you're doing. There's a lot going on in the country, a lot of challenges, and I just find that this online fiber community is a real place for me to go and feel a little sense of calm and relief and community and positivity and I don't know, just like-minded people who are out there across the country connecting with each other. And so I wanted to share my little corner of the world with you and see how you're doing this week. I have been knitting on, I'm looking around to see, there are a couple things. One thing, so I don't forget to mention it. I am still using my beautiful project bag, and I am knitting the Joji Locatelli single skein fingering weight. Of course, you can use a different weight if you want, but shawl. I think it's called the One Love shawl, and Clue 1 came out this week. I did finish that pretty quickly because it's when I had knitting time, and I won't show it since it's a mystery knit along, but there's not a ton to see. It was largely a garter section to start the shawl. It's a crescent shaped shawl, which she does tell us, and this is the yarn that I'm using. So it's great for stash diving. This particular yarn was actually gifted to me, and it is a Hedgehog Fibers sock yarn in the color Dijon. And that was gifted to me when I was still a relatively new knitter, and I certainly did not have a gorgeous stash built up by a friend, Holly, who was destashing at the time. So thank you, Holly, if you're watching, which you're probably not because you're very busy these days, but I'll send you a picture and let you know that that beautiful skein of yarn is going to use in something that I think so far, at least, it's been a perfect match for. I tend to find that speckled yarns, and this is not like a groundbreaking piece of information from me, but I certainly feel this way, and then you can find out a lot of other people who will suggest it or designers who will use it this way. A speckled yarn looks really great in garter stitch, reverse stockinette, things where you've got a surface that is not necessarily just that plain stockinette flat surface, different textures and so on. So anyway, as that comes, I don't know if I'll keep up with it every week, but if I do, and I have enough of a lag time, I'll do a little spoiler alert and show you my progress. And if I do finish it, or when I do finish it, I will certainly show you the final version. So what else I've been knitting on is the version of the Shearing Day shawl that I showed you the colors for. I think I showed you one shot of it that I had started at Rhinebeck. Are you ready to see the progress of it? Okay. So I have a lot going on here. I have a lot going on with color. I have a lot going on with the actual yarns I'm using, and that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. I'm not just trying to show you my pattern over and over again. What I wanted to do is show you the yarns I'm using and talk a little bit about Wovember, which is Wool November. It has a very active history. This year it's just sort of around out there, and a few of us are still using the hashtag, and it's not necessarily an active daily prompt this year to post about, but It's about raising the visibility and awareness of all of the great uses of wool. And a lot of people also, particularly around wool as an alternative to fibers and textiles that have input microplastics into the world. So wool, November, Wovember, all the things we talk about on this channel, through Clara Parks, through fiber sheds, through a lot of the small farms and the fiber festivals, and everyone doing education around using wool, not only for our beautiful yarn, but also for mattresses and shoelaces and fertilizer and insulation and pillows and all the things. It is a great month to celebrate that. And so that's why I wanted to talk to you about the yarns and the wool that is in this shawl and where I'm going with it and what I'm doing. So you know this is, if you've watched, you know this is Sharing Day shawl. You know it was originally designed in 3 natural colors of shorn yarn from Knitting the Stash. And now that we're doing it for the Green Mountain shawl for 2026, I wanted to play with color, play with different weight yarn, look at placement and yardage. And I had a little thought this morning, so tell me what you think. So we started by talking about how this is the Settlement Farm yarn that was spun at Junction Fiber Mill. That is a mix of, I think, Cheviot and Montedale in terms of breed specificity. And that is what this particular ochre color is and this green color is. And then I got into the color changing yarn, which is the Making Tracks. And Making Tracks is a combination, I think, a lot of Targhee wool that comes from the Western United States mixed with some other wools from New England and maybe some merino, I think. And then this cream color here is the Five Sisters Farm Shetland from New Hampshire. And what was interesting about that is yesterday the Boston Globe had an article, front page, or if you get the email, it was both the headline of the email as well as the first story that popped up about the, new, we all know it's not really new, the new, old, whatever we want to call it, but the movement from farm to closet, as we had the farm to table movement that, gained a lot of popularity and traction. So it was great to see that, all press is good press in many ways. And this, right now we have a lot of things to be concerned about. It was nice to see some good news mixed in there as well. So what was interesting is the picture of the sheep that was on the newspaper was from Five Sisters Farm. And so I thought it was so neat. I was knitting with Primrose, which I have, learned is one of the names of the specific ewe that it came from. And that is carried all the way down and then all the way to here, where I actually just finished the last bit of it. I have somewhere sitting around here the tiniest little bit. I won't even make it back and forth again. So you might be wondering, well, the shawl's not over, and this particular section is supposed to have 3 sets of this. What am I going to do? This, keep in mind, is because I'm using different yarn, a different weight yarn. I haven't even checked my gauge because I didn't worry about running out of yarn. I just had a plan to keep adding to what I'm knitting with. And so I have the solid gold and green. I have the variegated Making Tracks. I have the cream colored Shetland. Down here, I brought in that reddish orange colored, also the same Settlement Farms. That's over the Making Tracks. The Making Tracks is still the background here. And here's what I thought would be really cool and a way to really bring a lot of the stories together from different projects I've either already done or yarns that I have in my stash. So I got to thinking this morning and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to look at what I have and add some other really meaningful yarns that would fit in? And I don't know if I'll insert a picture here or not, but I took a picture that I'm gonna post, I think, tomorrow, of the Shetland next to, do we all remember Ellie Mae? Ellie Mae, the Romney from the Dancing Pony Sheep Farm. So this is some Ellie Mae that I have in my stash. And you can see if I hold it up next to the Shetland, well, actually here the color looks well, I guess it depends what angle you're looking in, but it's very similar, and yet also a little bit different. This one's a little bit thinner, but not hugely so. It's sort of like one step down in terms of thickness. And then I also have, and this one I don't think will go back and forth. So I don't know that I have enough at all to do this either, but this was the Milky Gray, which is a fin, and that is from Meadow Fed Lamb. And let's see, I thought it was in the same pile. Oh, so this is the leftover Shetland. So let me just show you, holding these next to each other. Shetland, fin, and Romney. And I almost thought, depending on exactly what I have and what quantities, that I would use them across. So it would be like this is what they look like when they're finished. They remind me of little sheep all lined up. In the original more so, because what looks like the faces was brown, and this one the face is gold, but they almost look like little sheep lined up. And I thought it would be so fun to just have each of the next 3 be from a different farm, a different fiber, a different breed, but all wool. And so anyway, I thought that could be neat. I also have, and this one I don't think will show up as much, so I'm not sure. I might use it in a different section, but this is Savage Heart Farm, and that's a natural dark, and that's a Corriedale. So if you watch the Junction Fiber Mill cast, these are Peg's sheep. And you know, that has such a squish and bounce to it that's so nice. And of course, you also know, if you watch my different acquisitions, that I have a lot of beautiful yarn that I could keep choosing from. And so one of the things I was thinking about is, I thought this was going to be kind of a slow burn knit for me, and I was going to do it over the next year in between other things, and then make sure I bound it off before Vermont Sheep and Wool next year so that I could have it when we all take a picture. I almost think, and I don't know, don't hold me to this, maybe I should crowdsource a little bit, see what you think, but I almost think I might just keep going and make a really, really, really big shawl. As you can see, this is already going to be large. And that's, like I said, because I'm knitting it in a larger yarn, even if it's not necessarily all labeled as a heavier weight, but you know, not all DKs are created equal. So this is a more substantial yarn than the original one. And I think I might keep going. And actually, let me pull this over so you can see what I mean. So this is the original. So where I am right now is this first row here of 3. And I almost think I might keep going and even do another full section here, another section of these 1x1 crosses, and just see how big I want to make it, depending on all of the wool I want to incorporate into it. And I like the idea of it being like a story shawl. So, you know, I think of quilting, and I think of the different stories that go into quilting, or cross stitch, or, you know, different things where there are samplers. And this almost has the feeling of like a sampler to me now. And especially because I will know, I started with all these Vermont wools, Vermont sheep and flock and producers. And maybe what I'll do is kind of continue it and continue the story and put it all in there. And we'll see. And I always, you know, I love when you can kind of like really wrap up in these, and it would just be fun. You could wrap it so many different ways if it was really big, and it could become one of those outdoor pieces, like one of those big layering pieces, not necessarily a shawl that I would wear under just a jean jacket or something, but really one that I could wrap around in. And I'm tall, I'm not a small person, so it takes a lot. I think I've wrapped myself around in this now, but it takes a lot of shawl to be a big shawl wrapped around myself. Okay, so anyway, I thought that would be fun. Just keep going and going and going and end up with a really big, comfy shawl. So that's the other thing, other than the Hohi Locatelli Mystery Knit Along, that is on my needles right now. And off my needles, nothing new. So I've been working on that. I've been working on the mystery knit along. And the other thing that I have been doing is working on my computer. Not nearly as fun, but necessary if you're going to publish patterns. So what I finished editing and went through tech edits is the cowl that I previewed for you before, which I have a working name right now of Serenity Cowl. And this is the one in Wing and a Prayer Farm. There you can see the beautiful colors. Those colors are just striking. And so see the shape of this, how it's kind of, well, I'm gonna show you from behind. See the shape? So it's knit flat, but also the way you do the shaping and the seaming makes it so that when you wear it, you actually tuck the front in like this. And the nice part of that is that when you're seen from the side, you see a finished surface, right? So I have a lot of knits on, which I will tell you in a minute what I'm wearing. But it's just a little bandana cowl, but because of the way you do increases and decreases, or actually just increases, then when you wear it, fold it in. Oh my goodness, look here. We'll just do this. There. So you wear it, except you don't wear it up like this. I mean, you can if you want to, but you tuck it in like this. And obviously I have it on top of a sweater and another shawl right now, but you can kind of get the idea so that it tucks right into the front and it has a nice finished edge. So I'm showing you it now, not because it's ready to be published, but because it is in testing now. And I had a few friends, thank you friends, who volunteered to knit it. It's one size with a recipe so that you can use any weight yarn if you'd like, or a recipe so that if you want to make it larger or smaller, you can do that and just follow that very easy guidance. But otherwise, it's a one size cowl that fits a fit model through an inclusive size range. So that's that. Look at the colors. The colors, the texture, everything about it. It took me a while to figure out what this beautiful Wing and a Prayer yarn wanted to be. But when I figured it out, I knew it was perfect. It spoke to me. I'm really happy with it. It's really beautiful. I wore it at Rhinebeck, and this is the yarn label. Beautiful label. Does it want to focus on it? No, it doesn't really care for that, does it? Well, anyway, Wing and a Prayer. It is the Peter Pan and Fam 3-ply. It's 100% Cormo, which is why it's so poofy and squishy. And these skeins that I got were these small 2-ounce skeins where you got 126 yards in 2 ounces. I did knit it on a US 7, and I knitted it at a looser gauge than what's suggested on here, but basically it's light worsted, it's botanically dyed, really beautiful. So anyway, this is in testing now, and ideally it will come out before the fiber festivals around me in early 2026, where Tammy will have her yarn, and we can celebrate all that together. So let's see. There's not too much else to say. I think maybe just keeping this a little small check-in where I showed you what I'm working on and what's in testing and what's coming up, and told you about the mystery knit along. That might be it for today. I do have other topics where we can record some podcasts that are a little bit more in depth, maybe a little bit more educational or other things, but I just wanted to continue to build our community today. Come in and say hi. I didn't tell you what I was wearing. That's the other thing. So I'll tell you really quickly. I have on my Thea Coleman fog cutter, and I want to show you because I do love the fit. I've been meaning to wear this lately, and I just haven't put it on. I kind of did like between a 3/4 length and a bracelet length sleeve, which I really like. I really like the high-low hem and the way that it kind of hangs in front with some nice drape and is longer in back, and everything about it is beautiful. It was fun to knit. It was a slow knit for me because I intentionally did it between other projects, and I knit it in the O wool. It was designed in the O wool. That was the wool cotton blend, and I that would have been fabulous. When I got it, they had already announced O wool was going to close, and for those of you who weren't familiar with it, it was a non-superwash treatment or process that made it so the wool was washable, but in a much more environmentally friendly process. That's the best way I can describe it. I don't know a lot more about it beyond that, but it was the recommended yarn, and I was able to get it the all wool version before you could no longer get it. So it was nice to work with. And then I'm also wearing, because my neck was cold. So, all right, let me show you how beautiful the neckline is. This is the really pretty like boat neck, really nice neckline. And also, by the way, the shoulder seam here is another really pretty detail. But my neck was cold today because it got chilly. So I layered on top of this another very ethereal shawl. This is the Make Your Marl by Susan Ashcroft, and I knitted this during the pandemic. I remember early pandemic days, in a yarn that was a local dyer to me, and she's not dyeing yarn right now as far as I know, but Campfire Knits, and the colorway was Aquina, which is on Martha's Vineyard. So also, if you've followed me for a while, you know I have my own Aquina cowl, and it's a place that I love to visit. It's just beautiful, and it's held double here with Rowan Kid Silk Haze, and it's so soft on my neck and warm, and exactly what I needed just to kind of layer on top of my sweater. So that's what I'm wearing. That's it. I hope that you enjoyed a quick check-in. Let me know what you're knitting, what you're working on, what you're looking forward to, how your community is doing where you are, and I hope we can continue to catch up and stay connected and build community. Knit kindly, live kindly, and I will see you again soon.